Some spread betting companies say that they're mirrors of the market, and maybe some of them are, but what are your thoughts on them?
All right, so we go back, and there's always lots of rumours, and it's normally like people that have lost money with spread betting companies will always blame the spread betting company because they'll blame anything but themselves. What a spread betting company does, it takes the feed in from the market, so let's say gold, and let's say gold is trading at 12.50, 12.51, just to make it easy. They will then add a margin onto that, their profit margin, and so they are mirroring the market basically plus their margin. If the gold market moves up or down, then so does their price. Where things can get a bit messy is when some bookmakers make their own prices, market that isn't out in the market or out of hours when the market might not be trading as much. So stick to actual markets that they are mirroring. I think that's a better idea.
So if some people see them a bit like a casino where the house always wins, would you say that's true? Or?
Well, the house is winning because people are basically not very good at what they're doing. They don't have to. You know, I remember years ago, because I know a lot of guys who work for spread betting companies saying, well, we don't have to cheat because at the end of the day, people will just lose money anyway. So I think the important thing is that you get out of that mentality, you do what you have to do, trade correctly, and you know, you don't have to worry about the house.
There are rumours that people have been locked out of trades if they're doing really well with some of these companies. Do you think that's true?
I've never seen it. You know, there was a point, and again, this was back in 2003-04. I think I had over 2 million in an account with IG Index, and I never had a problem. So, you know, my worries always was, oh, are they going to pay me? And that was part of the reason why I got money back out and what have you. But as far as platforms, and you remember a lot of the time I was still dealing over the phone because platforms, when they first went online, you could only see the prices, you couldn't actually deal online. And I think some of the bigger traders now, they still use the telephone because they can actually speak to somebody rather than just dealing online. But this thing about locking out, I've never really witnessed it.
Spread betting providers often take the side of other trades. Do you think there's a conflict of interest there?
Well, that's the market. There's always got to be a buyer and a seller. So there's two ways the spread betting company can make money. Obviously, some customers will think market A is going to go up. Some customers will say the market's going to go down. Many times customers are on one side. They can then hedge that out into the market. Many times they don't, or they certainly won't to a certain limit because one, it's just not worth it, and two, they'll take the opposite end. But you shouldn't be upset with the bookmaker for taking the opposite end. As long as they're giving you a fair price, you're getting in, you're getting out, and they pay you what they do, then you know that's not your business.
You touched upon hedging there. Do spread betting providers take advantage of this?
Well, what they will do, some will hedge, some won't, depending on how big they are, or they'll have a limit. So let's say it gets to so much per point on the DAX or whatever. They'll say, well, we'll carry that, we'll take that risk. So they're taking the opposite view of the client. But once it goes over that limit, then they'll start trading futures in the market because they don't want to take so much risk.
Are any providers betting against me if I'm trading with them?
Well, by them taking the position, technically they're offsetting. So they are, you could say they are betting, because if you imagine in the early days when we used to phone up, if I said I bought £50 a point on the Dow, you'd hear the guy shout out the opposite because they've taken the opposite position. And I've spent times in spread betting dealing rooms, I've seen how it works. It's obviously it's much quieter now because more of the trading's done online. Back in the old days when it was done over the phone, you actually just saw more how it worked. So they are taking the opposite side to you, but again, I don't see what's the problem with that.
Is there a way to use that to your advantage, or should you be concerned?
It's just a normal, there's always a buyer and always a seller. It's like if I buy shares today, forget about spread betting, just for a normal broker, I'm not buying those shares off the company. It's not the company selling the shares. The broker has a seller. So it's just normal. There's always a buyer and a seller.